Welcome back to today's Explainer. Today, we continue with Chapter 6 of our journey through The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller, and this chapter is called Embracing the Other. Wow, this book has been so promising so far, and I can't believe we only have 2 chapters left to finish this series. This chapter is really special because it's actually written by Kathy Keller, Tim's wife, giving her unique perspective. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss out on the final episodes. Okay, before we dive into Chapter 6, let's do a quick refresher on Chapter 5. The big idea was that your spouse is, in many ways, a stranger. They are constantly changing, and you are too. So the question that leaves us with is, how? How do you actually love and care for the stranger you're married to, especially when their strangeness is driving you crazy? This chapter is the answer. So where do we find this answer? Well, the Kellers argue it's not in the latest self-help book or some new communication trick. No. The model for unity in the midst of difference is found in the very nature of God himself, in something theologians call the divine dance. Now, this is a beautiful, kinda mind-bending idea. You have the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, 3 distinct persons, all perfectly equal in power and glory. Yet they exist in this constant, joyful dance of giving way to one another, honoring one another, and serving one another. It's not a power struggle, it's a perfect harmony. And that, Keller says, is the ultimate blueprint for marriage. And here's where it gets real. This isn't just abstract theology. This quote from Philippians shows us Jesus in action. He was fully God, totally equal with the Father, but he didn't use that equality as a trump card. He chose to set it aside, to become a servant. And here's the kicker. Doing that didn't make him less divine. It was the very path to his ultimate glory. That principle, voluntary service, is the key to everything else. All right, now we get to the part of the chapter that, let's be honest, makes a lot of us really uncomfortable. We're going to talk about those loaded words, leadership and submission. But we're going to see how the Kellers use that divine dance to totally flip our understanding of them. Yeah, these words, they carry so much baggage, don't they? And for good reason. They have been twisted and misused to justify all sorts of harm and oppression. The book looks at this head-on and says, basically, we have to throw out the world's dictionary and let Jesus define these terms for us. And this chart just lays it out so clearly. Look at the world's version of authority. It's about being the boss, calling the shots, lording it over people. It's about getting perks. But then you look at Jesus's authority, and it's the exact opposite. It's not about taking, it's about giving. It's not about status, it's about sacrifice. His power was shown by giving his very life away. And this scene, wow. This is where it all lands. Jesus, the Lord and teacher, gets down on his knees and washes the disgusting, filthy feet of his followers. Then he looks them in the eye and says, this is your example. So for a husband, headship isn't a license to bark orders. It's a call to be the first one on the floor, to outserve and outsacrifice his wife for her good. Okay, so we have this huge, beautiful model, the dance of the Trinity and the servant leadership of Jesus. But what does that actually look like on a Tuesday night when you're arguing about how to load the dishwasher? Let's make it practical. The book argues that the cross is the ultimate act of embracing the other. I mean, think about it. In relation to a holy God, sinful humanity was the ultimate outsider, the ultimate stranger. But God didn't reject us. He moved toward us at the greatest possible cost to himself. When you grasp that you are fully loved and accepted by God like that, it frees you. You don't need to win arguments or prove you're right anymore. You're secure, so you can afford to embrace your spouse's differences. And this is so freeing. The Bible doesn't give us a rigid chore chart. It doesn't say who has to do the dishes or who takes out the trash. It's not about stereotypes. It gives us a heart posture. A husband leads by serving, and a wife shows strength through a gracious gift of help. And from there, every single couple gets the freedom to choreograph their own unique dance. So, why does God put such different people together in the first place? You might think it's a bug, but Keller says it's a feature. It's for our growth. See, when you commit to someone totally different, it forces you to actually listen and learn their perspective. You can't stay in your own little bubble. And when you do that, your own world gets bigger, your character gets deeper, and you become a wiser person. Their otherness is a gift. Okay, this is the elephant in the room, isn't it? This all sounds wonderful, but what if your spouse isn't on board? What if you feel like you're the only one trying to do this dance and your partner just isn't participating? It's a really painful, real-world question. And the book gives a pretty hardcore answer from C.S. Lewis. I mean, listen to that phrase, most like a crucifixion. That's intense. But Lewis's point, and Keller's, is that true Christ-like love shines brightest when it's not being returned. It's easy to love someone who's loving you back. The real test is loving when it costs you everything and you get nothing in return. It's a radical call to love like Jesus did.
So, let's try to boil this all down. Whether you're married, single, or somewhere in between, what are the big takeaways from this chapter? Kathy Keller gives us 5 crucial lessons that apply to all of us.
First up, gender is a gift. The idea that our being male and female isn't just a biological accident, but an essential, beautiful part of God's design meant to complement each other. Second, true authority is service. If you remember anything about headship from this chapter, let it be this. It is not about being the boss. It's about being the first to serve, the first to sacrifice. Third, submission is strong. It is absolutely not weakness or being a doormat. It's a voluntary, courageous, powerful gift of deference and support, modeled after Jesus himself. Fourth, difference is for growth. Those quirks in your partner that drive you up the wall, they're not a mistake. They're one of God's primary tools to make you wiser, more patient, and more like him. And finally, number 5. This is all about principles, not rigid rules. The Bible gives us the beautiful music for the dance, but every couple gets the freedom and responsibility to choreograph their own unique steps. So there you have it. Gender as a gift, authority as service, submission as strength, difference for growth, and principles over rules. When you put all of that together, you can see how it transforms marriage from a power struggle into a beautiful dance. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Think about your most important relationships, not just romantic ones, your family, your friends, your coworkers. How would things change if you started to see their differences, their otherness, not as a problem to be fixed, but as a God-given path to your own growth and wisdom? Thank you for joining us today for this look at a really rich and challenging chapter. And again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time as we continue our series,